YouTube, what's going on? It's Kyle again from ePoolSupply. We are back this week with Hayward's Wanda the Whale. This is their above ground suction side pool cleaner. We're going to do some quick fix videos for you guys and show you guys how to repair all the little bits and pieces inside this cleaner. Stay tuned. All right, guys, and we're back. So again, today we've got Hayward's Wanda the Whale. This is their above ground pool cleaner. As you guys can see, this cute little whale actually has already gotten taken apart from the intro. So if you guys want to actually see where I'm at right now, make sure you guys follow along on the playlist that I have located down below in the description. We'll have a link there for you guys where you guys can follow through on how to get everything to the point where we're at right now. For today's video, it will require you to watch some of those videos or at least know how to remove the actual turbine kit. You won't need to physically take this out if you're just going to be replacing the actual flappers on the side, these little wings. But if you are trying to do any kind of fixing with the actual A-frame kit itself here, as well as the pods with the shoes, you will need to remove it from the cleaner to just make sure that it's easier for you guys to fix. So I'll walk you guys through two parts today. We're going to do the actual wing kits, and then I'll actually walk you into the pods themselves so that way you guys can kind of see the differences. So what we're looking for, these are what they call the wings. So what these do is as the cleaner is actually running and functioning, these kind of flap underneath the cleaner and gently kind of go with the cleaner as well to make sure that it helps seal all that debris in the middle so that everything can kind of get forced to the actual orifice and sucked up into your hose, into your filter. So these are important to the functionality of the cleaner. I know they look like not much on the sides, but if for some reason you guys do not have these, it will not seal properly, which means that it's not going to operate the way that you guys want it to. So definitely make sure that every other season or so that you guys grab these flap kits and replace them. They're really simple as long as there's not an issue with the actual pods themselves. So I'll get into that detail for you guys. But as you guys can tell, they don't actually have any screws. There's no actual moving parts to these. They just kind of sit and just help seal. So when you guys are actually removing them, all you're dealing with are little pegs located on the sides of the pods. So when you guys are taking them, it's a real malleable plastic, really easy to move. So you're just going to kind of bend it over each of the little stubs they have on the side to be able to kind of pop it out and get it out over those top clips. Again, if for whatever reason these top clips have sheared off, that is part of your pod. It will not come in any kind of wing kit. You do need to purchase a whole new pod. So I'll show you guys how to actually take those off as well in that process. But one thing to look for when you're doing the wings is they are labeled. They are meant for one side or the other. So you do have a right side and you do have a left side, which Hayward has been very nice to actually give you guys the R and the L on the actual wings themselves, as well as the pods themselves. They'll actually have an R and an L so you know which side it needs to go on. In this case, again, the part where you actually removed the screws in our previous video to actually remove the A-frame kit, that's what you're going to classify as the front. So that's one way to look at it. So for me, this is the front facing you guys, and I have my left side and my right side. So obviously that's what you're going to look for, is these three holes on the actual frame itself. That's going to tell you what part's the actual front. So that way when you are reinstalling as well as putting new flaps or pods on, that you get those directions correct so that you don't have to take anything off and redo it. So once you guys have removed these, again, real simple, slide them back on. It's a real malleable plastic. You can bend, it can move, so just kind of work your way back onto those pods. But again, if the pod parts have snapped, then you will need to replace the pods. So in order to replace the pods, you will need to get a flathead screwdriver, which, give me a second. And you'll need like a socket driver. It's just a small little thing. It's basically the only other screw that they put in this is those bolts for the pods, so they do require a different screwdriver. Otherwise, everything else in the actual cleaner is a Phillips head screwdriver, so really easy. But I got my flathead so that I can pop this little cap off there when flying. Don't even have to worry about it. So that cap is just basically to protect the screw. It's a stainless steel screw, so it shouldn't rust, but as we all know with chemicals and metal and water, they do have a tendency to have issues. So once you guys have actually popped that out, thank you. You're going to actually get your driver, so then you'll have your driver and you're going to be able to slide it in. It's got to be a small one. I've had a different part and it was too big in order to fit into that into this side of the pod, so you do want to make sure that you grab a smaller driver in order to get this screw out. Again, this is the only way to replace the pod, so you do need to get that tool in order to be able to pull the screw out to be able to slide the pods off. So here's your screw. It's not a tapper at all, it's just a regular bolt. So you're going to go ahead and remove that, and then at that point you can basically just kind of pull these pods out. So they do have a little notch on the side. It's a square or a rectangle notch that will actually slide over this axle. That's a part of the actual A-frame kit. So again, if for some reason this is sheared, it's a different part that you're going to have to replace, not just the pods, but the pods are going to carry new shoes on them, so that way you guys have these shoes, which are again an important factor to make sure that you guys are checking on every season. But really simple. Again, this is my right side. It's got a nice little pretty label on the side here with an R, so then that way you guys know when you guys are re-anchoring it back onto this frame that everything goes back in correctly. So same goes for the left side. Pretty straightforward. At this point, I would grab it, you just line it back up, slides it back on, and then you're going to reset your bolt, put your wing back on, and you should be good to go back into the pool. So highly suggest that if you're going to replace one, replace them both. Excuse me. That goes for both the wing kits as well as the pods. So if you guys are going to replace one, get both. It's just much easier, much more efficient for the cleaner. Just like when you do for a car, you don't ever want to have to buy one tire. You always want to try to get four at the same time if possible. So that way everything wears evenly and you don't run into more issues down the line. So really appreciate you guys watching. Again, make sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. We're going to have more videos coming your way on this cleaner as well as all those other cleaners out there on the market. So until then, I'm Kyle from ePoolSupply, and we'll see you next time.